So welcome to our Main Street Masters series presented by Mainstreet SA. I'm David West, your host, and today we're talking about the importance of Main Street governance with an expert in the field, Rania Fayad, who runs the Yellow Round Table business in Victoria. Welcome, Rania, and thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me here today, David.
Pleasure. So can you tell us about your time in local government and why you set up the Yellow Round Table?
So my path into local government wasn't exactly planned. After spending several years in management roles at Kmart Australia, I found myself craving a better work-life balance. And I think anyone in retail or hospitality knows we reach a stage where we get a bit tired and look for something new. So I took a leap and started my own creative business selling handmade goods like hula hoops and gifts, intending to travel around Australia and sell at markets. Anyone who knows me knows that I aspire to be a grey nomad, and so that was part of the dream. Fate had other plans though, so I stumbled upon a temporary role at my local council managing permit applications and school crossing supervisors. What was meant to be a short-term gig turned into a decade-long career in local government. And during that time in local government, I wore many hats. So from compliance and investigations to economic development, tourism and community development. The idea for Yellow Round Table came from my experiences witnessing the struggles faced by volunteer-led committees, and boards of incorporated associations. I saw the potential for improvement and wanted to make a difference beyond just one community.
Sounds fantastic. I was going to say, when your dealings with Main Streets, what are some of the shortfalls you've seen in the governance of how they're managed?
Yeah, I've noticed several recurring challenges that can impede their effectiveness. So probably the 6 most common issues I've encountered. So there's underinvestment in their volunteer development. So we're overlooking the importance of providing adequate training and development opportunities. You know, we have to attend governance training, but is the person facilitating these workshops actually speaking in a way that's easy to digest or understand, that allows the volunteers to fulfill their roles effectively? We can make poor hiring decisions, so number 2, or consultancy choices. Anyone can say I can help your association or your business, but whether or not they can, or if they have the necessary skills to support you or expertise required, is a different story. I like to think that it can lead to, it can create risk to the brand itself and lead to inefficiencies and wasted resources. There's number 3, insufficient data and systems. So we lack, because of the high turnover of boards, whether or not people are choosing to retire or just leave in general, or having new people join our boards, there's a lot of comprehensive data, or I guess there's maybe no systems for effective decision making. So it means that we don't have that background history that a new committee might really need, and it can impact the way that they make decisions. Then number 4 is the misalignment with strategic plans. So it's really easy to get excited when you're on a board and have all these really great ideas, but if you've got a strategic plan that your members are trusting that your board's going to make decisions based off, because that's what you've told them that you're going to do, it's really important that you stick with it, because it can hinder progress and impede the achievement of the organisation's overall goals. Number 5 is over-reliance on external influences. So if you're over-dependent on external suppliers or contractors, it could compromise your ability to make independent decisions, or even impact your intellectual property. Who really owns it is a question I like to ask. So number 6 is the ambiguity of a role. So board members might not really understand what their individual or collective roles and responsibilities are. And the thing is, if we don't know what we're doing, no one's taking accountability potentially, and it can lead to confusion and inefficiencies within the board.
You know, if a business group is sort of considering, should we be incorporated or not? Can't we just go along being just like a pretty casual group, or should we be incorporated? What would you say?
I love this question. I'm really glad you brought it up, because it's one that often sparks interesting discussions. So the advantages of being incorporated are significant, and it's important to recognise that it may not be the right path for every Main Street or precinct or any volunteer group. One of the key advantages, though, of incorporation is access to more grants and funding opportunities. So it can provide crucial financial support for community projects and initiatives. And additionally, having a governance and administrative framework in place can offer a sense of structure and stability for volunteer groups, which can be really good. However, incorporation also comes with its own set of responsibilities and commitments. It requires additional time and effort to meet these new obligations, which can feel like a burden for many. I think it's essential to understand that not every volunteer group wants or needs to become incorporated. Some may simply want to contribute to their community and advocate for change or form social connections and friendships. These groups may find fulfillment in these activities without the formalities of incorporation. And I think it shouldn't be undertaken lightly. It's really crucial to understand what the process and governance responsibilities involved are to avoid any potential damage to your reputation. And so my recommendation is just to take the time to carefully consider whether incorporation is the right step for your main street or precinct. And remember that good things take time, and it's important to prioritize long-term success and sustainability of your volunteer-led board.
So when you're talking to a Main Street and you're looking at their governance, what are you looking for?
I look at the three key environments, so the micro, meso, and macro. So along with identifying any red tape that could potentially harm the reputation of an incorporated association. So if we're starting with the micro environment, these are the factors that we have no direct influence over, such as political, economic, social, technological, environmental, and legal conditions. For instance, understanding the specific acts that an incorporated association must adhere to is crucial in this context. You can't change it in that way. Moving on to the meso environment, we can encounter elements where our influence is limited but still significant. And this includes local policies, initiatives, events that could impact governance. And for example, being aware of a general local law, bylaws set by your local council. So that's here in Victoria under the Local Government Act. It changes. It's a statutory process, very similar to the special rates. So staying informed about community consultations and the existence of special rates as well can really influence decision-making. And lastly, the macro environment. So everything within our control or influence. So that's what an association can control. And that's the business model canvas, the brand management, decision-making processes, the operations, risk management practices. The focus is on empowering volunteer Main Street associations to make decisions that best serve their members and to mitigate any threats to governance. So it not only ensures efficient governance, but enhances the overall resilience and success of a precinct and Main Street.
Okay, so if you've got a board that's running a Main Street and they're being very strategic and looking at longer term direction, which is great. How do they then bring that down to the action section of it? How bring that out of the strategies?
Yeah, I think the board serves a dual role, so both strategic and action orientated. So as a collective entity, the board must think strategically. They need to envision the future and make decisions that benefit their members and the organisation as a whole. And so this involves setting those overarching goals, defining priorities, and I guess charting the course of the organisation's success. But as individuals, board members must also be accountable for the roles and responsibilities they've accepted and take action to implement the strategic vision of the board. So let's consider a real life example of a board managing an external contractor, such as a marketing coordinator. In this scenario, the board's strategic role involves asking important questions to guide their decision-making process. Questions like, how do we engage the right person for this role? Where do we advertise this role in our local community? How do we protect our brand and assets? What is our procurement process? Do we have an onboarding process? What specific tasks need to be performed by this person? I think the answers to these strategic questions just provide the framework for the actions that need to be taken by the board. So each question prompts the board to consider specific steps and decisions that must be made to achieve the strategic objectives. So I think in summary, the board needs to strike a balance between strategic thinking and action-orientated decision-making.
Love that. I was going to say, when I've been to many council meetings over the years, and sometimes you sort of get rather loud businesses or people who have been involved in the street for a long time, and they tend to sort of make comments like, oh no, that won't work because we've tried it before, or yes, I know the answer to that. How do you make sure that it's more consultative, overall, that there's more people's views coming in?
I love this because I faced this throughout my entire career. and I like to call it unwritten ground rules. So the around here, we don't do this. I think it's a really important issue because it's not uncommon for a few dominant voices to steer the agenda, potentially overshadowing the perspectives of others in the community or on the board itself. So some strategies that can help moderate these views and foster a more inclusive and productive environment. So facilitate open communication. If you've got a new board or you're starting the new year, so we're at the start of the year, set up some new rules, not unwritten ground rules, like create your own that facilitate open communication, establish clear decision-making processes. You can rotate leadership roles, even though you need to have someone chairing the committee meeting, but rotate the roles and let people learn to develop their own their skills in leading that or coordinating it, because you can learn from everyone on that board. You have people who like focus on the strengths of each of the individual members and let people shine. Provide training and development. So offering governance training and development opportunities is really fantastic, but only if it does support them. So for business owners, they're not going to want to close their business, to attend a mandatory governance training session, unless it's with me, but only if it allows them to leave and take action quickly. So they want to come, learn practical skills, not be spoken at. They want to be able to apply it then and there. So they're not feeling, because we're all business owners here, you don't want to waste your time. We love our businesses and we love doing the work, working with our clients, but we only want it to be worth our time.
I love that. I've always found with some of the small retailers, they might have an idea that really you think, well, could we do that? But then once the board gets a hold of it and starts to generate it, make it into something, it can be really, really, really good. It just comes from someone just having an idea. And so it's very important that the doors are open all the time.
Yeah, it's so true. I won my innovation award in my early 20s for an idea that management didn't support, and they laughed at. They said, oh, that's a silly idea. And if it doesn't work, then you'll have to work overnight and fix all this. And the thing is my team really respected, and I think I inspired my team because I really cared about their development and their careers. So they supported the idea simply because they knew I always did what I said I was going to do.
Well done.
And it was a collective effort, but it ended up getting implemented, this weird idea, or one that wasn't a great idea, into every store in Australia and New Zealand and every Kmart. So
nice.
It just goes to show sometimes speaking up and just saying, we need, and that's where taking accountability. In my role back then, I knew that if it didn't work, I'd have to take accountability and fix it. Yep. But I was willing to take that bet and to bring my team along that journey with me.
But the other question is really about the relationship between council and the Mainstreet. And I often hear, when I'm doing some work for councils, they say, but the businesses all rely on us to do everything for them all the time. And I said, do you? And they said, yeah, we do a lot for them. And I said, well, then how do we change that situation a little bit? What would you recommend there?
I think in my experience, managing the relationship between local councils and incorporated associations, it's crucial for the success of both entities. So it's akin to fostering a collaborative partnership where both parties work towards common goals while respecting each other's autonomy. So one key aspect of maintaining clear communication channels to ensure everyone understands their roles and responsibilities, and setting boundaries is also important to prevent overreach and interference in the association's operations, because the only people who should be making decisions are the members and the board itself. So that's where, in my time working in local council, where I'd attend board meetings, I was there to support them and to work in partnership with them, but I wasn't there to influence the way they made decisions. If they said, hey, Rania, we want to update on this, I would always come prepared. And sometimes they wouldn't need me. They could kick me out of the meeting because I'm not a member, so I don't need to be there. But we established this really beautiful collaborative partnership, and it was based on mutual respect and shared objectives, where we could leverage the strengths of both the council and the association to better serve our community. I'm really lucky. I've always been worked with great associations and boards, and I know that even when I launched Yellow Round Table, there was I had a huge amount of support, simply because I understood my role as a council officer. And also I have to also say, like, when we're working in council, many of us, if if you haven't come from a compliance or a regulatory background, and maybe you're a business professional, stepping into this space can be really daunting. And so even you are a beginner as well. So you don't know maybe you require governance training or further support for your skills and education. The role itself can be quite demanding when you're working with traders groups, because council still does need to serve every home, commercial and mobile-based business that's out there. So that's why setting boundaries is really important, but it's the point of becoming an incorporated association is so that you can operate independently, and you're there to advocate for a cause or an opportunity that you've identified in your main street.
I know you talk about the other thing is that about promoting your main street, and every main street is different, of course. And we know that there's the diversity of the small independent businesses, which is what we love, and that makes the character of the street. But how do they actually amplify the marketing and lift their message and get it out there to people?
Yeah, I think, well, main streets, they're so unique, and each one has its own distinct character, history, and offerings. However, whether the market, customers, and the public are aware of the uniqueness can vary. It largely depends on how effectively we communicate and showcase the identity and value of each main street. So in many cases, there may be a lack of awareness about the specific attributes that make a main street special, and every main street is special. So we just need to find and tap into that. This could be due to factors such as limited marketing efforts, lack of visibility in the community, or overshadowing by larger commercial areas. To address this, it's important for stakeholders such as local businesses, community organisations, and even your local council to actively promote and celebrate the unique aspects of their main street. This can be done through various means, including targeting marketing campaigns. So whether you're looking at digital or traditional marketing channels, that's completely up to you. You could have community events. You could collaborate with local businesses, artists, and other artisans as well in your local community, because we see it, everyone loves to support local, and it not only benefits local businesses in the community, but enriches the overall fabric of our cities and towns.
There's a job to be done there, a very valuable job to be done there.
You could, if I said, oh, who's your favorite, butcher, you'll have your favorite person. Like, people come into your mind, you need to create memorable experiences for them as well. And I think one thing that would be really valuable is promoting other businesses in your precinct, like developing a strategy to actually pitch other businesses. Ask customers, like, where are you off to next? Oh, well, you should check out this. I love when that happens to me when I'm visiting a shop, whether I'm in a rural town op shopping. I want to know where the best vanilla slice is, or where the best pie is, or where to go to next. So I think really share and celebrate, because your customers appreciate it.
Wow, that's fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Rania. That's just been an absolutely educational session. I really enjoyed it. So if you'd like to connect with Rania, please just go to yellowroundtable.com and you can find out more information on the website. And we thank Rania again for being part of our Main Street Masters series. And thank you once again. So we'll see you soon, Rania. Thank you.
Thank you.